Nobody expects to find a voice from the dead waiting on an old cassette buried in a dusty cardboard box. Especially not a voice that whispers your name the way only someone who once loved you could. And yet the moment I slid that worn, nearly forgotten tape into the old player I'd kept tucked behind the bookshelves for decades, and heard a woman's trembling voice say, "Robin, if you're hearing this, it means I didn't make it," something inside me froze, as if time itself stopped breathing. The morning had begun like any other quiet morning in the slow, unhurried life I lived now. Sunlight creeping across the living room floorboards, kettle rumbling on the stove, my old dog snoring softly at my feet when I decided, for no reason I could name, to clean out the storage closet I hadn't touched in years. I pulled out boxes filled with pieces of the life I once lived, scripts scribbled on the back of envelopes, photographs tucked into books, tiny mementos from places I'd visited when the world still felt like a place full of possibilities. And then, at the very bottom of a box I didn't remember filling, my fingers brushed against an object that didn't belong anywhere in my memory. An old black cassette labeled only with one word, for Robin. The handwriting was unfamiliar, shaky, desperate. My chest tightened. The world around me went still. You don't ignore something like that. Not at 68 years old. Not when you've lost more people than you've kept. Not when the past has a habit of ambushing you just when you think you've quieted it. So I dusted off the tape player, clicked it into place, and pressed play. The voice that came through the speakers was soft, breathless, and unbearably human. "Robin," she said, "I'm sorry. I didn't have a choice." Her voice trembled the way a candle flickers before dying. I sat there stunned, leaning closer as if the years between now and the moment she recorded it were nothing more than fog. I didn't recognize her voice. At least, I didn't think I did. But something in the way she said my name, tired but familiar, broken but intimate, made my heart beat in a way I hadn't felt in decades. "If you're hearing this," she continued, "it means you survived. It means you chose the right path. But it also means the danger isn't over. They'll come for you again, and when they do, you have to find him." I straightened, pulse quickening. "Find who?" The tape hissed, then clicked, then continued. "His name is Liam, and he knows the truth." Liam. The name struck a faint chord inside me, a thread of memory just out of reach. But before I could process it, the tape clicked again and her voice dropped to a near whisper. "Robin, I loved you. I always did. I'm sorry I couldn't say goodbye." The recording cut off abruptly, replaced by static. I sat frozen, staring at the player as if it might explain itself. A woman who claimed to love me. A warning. A name, Liam. I rewound the tape, played it again, searching desperately for recognition in her voice. Nothing. My memory felt like a puzzle missing half its pieces. I turned off the player and rested my head in my hands, trying to recall anyone, any woman who might have left me a message like that, but nothing came. Maybe age was playing tricks on my mind. Maybe grief. Maybe loneliness. Or maybe, just maybe, the tape was real in a way I wasn't prepared to understand. Before I could replay it a third time, I heard a knock at the door. A soft, hesitant knock. My blood chilled. The timing was too perfect, too eerie, too scripted to be coincident. I walked slowly to the front door, the floorboards groaning beneath my weight, and opened it. A young man stood there, early 20s, maybe, dark hair, pale face, eyes that looked like they hadn't known safety in years. "Robin?" he asked quietly. My breath caught. "Yes." He exhaled shakily, as if that single syllable had saved him. "My name is Liam," he whispered. "I think you're looking for me." I stared at him, heart hammering. "Did someone send you?" He nodded. "Yes, she did." For a moment the world tilted. "Who?" I whispered, though part of me already knew the answer. Liam swallowed hard. "Nora Callahan." The name hit me like a wave, both familiar and foreign. "I don't know anyone named Nora Callahan," I said slowly. Liam looked down, his hands tightening into trembling fists. "You did. You just don't remember." My chest constricted. Why wouldn't I remember someone who loved me? His eyes softened with something like grief. "Because she made you forget." The room spun. "Why would she do that?" I murmured. Liam stepped inside without waiting for an invitation and closed the door behind him. "To protect you," he said, voice shaking. "From them." My heart stumbled. "Then," he nodded. "The people who tried to kill her. The people who tried to kill you. The people who still want something you know, something you're not supposed to remember." A cold wave washed through me. "What are you talking about?" I demanded. He reached into his backpack and pulled out an envelope identical to the one I'd found in the storage box. "She left this with me," he said. "She told me to find you on this exact day, at this exact hour." My breath hitched. How would she know where I'd be 40 years later? Liam hesitated. "Because she saw it." Confusion twisted in my chest. "Saw it?" Liam nodded slowly. Nora wasn't like other people. Sometimes she knew things before they happened. I pressed a hand to my forehead. This sounds impossible. Liam shook his head. It sounds impossible because you don't remember the fire. My entire body went still. What fire? He took a shaky breath. The one in the fire you survived. The fire Nora died in. My knees gave out, and I sank onto the couch. I never survived a fire, I whispered. I would remember. Liam stepped closer, tears forming in his eyes. No, he said gently. You wouldn't, because she made sure you forgot. My breathing hitched. Why? He took something wrapped in cloth from his bag and placed it gently in my hands, an object that felt too heavy for its size. Because you saw something that night, he whispered. Something they'll kill you to find. My fingers unwrapped the cloth to reveal a small metal badge burned around the edges, but still legible. A badge I hadn't seen in decades, a badge I had prayed belonged to another man. But it belonged to my father. The room grew cold. Liam sat beside me. You were there the night he died, he whispered. You saw everything. You're the only one left who knows the truth. My throat tightened painfully. Then why don't I remember any of it? Liam met my eyes. Because Nora wiped that memory from you. She saved your life in the only way she could. I stared at him, trembling, as visions flickered at the edges of my mind. A beam cracking, a scream swallowed by fire, a woman pulling me through a collapsing doorway. My breath shortened. What do they want? I whispered. Liam reached out slowly, placing a hand on mine. They want the tape, Robin, the real tape. My heart lurched. What do you mean, the real tape? He swallowed. The one you recorded that night, the one that proves everything. All the air left my lungs. My voice came out small, broken. I recorded something. He nodded. Yes, right before the fire reached you. The world blurred as my heart pounded. Where is it now? Liam looked at the front door, fear flickering in his eyes. They're coming for it. We have to leave now, before they get here. I stood slowly, the room spinning around me, and realized something terrifying. The past I'd spent a lifetime trying to forget had just found its way back to my front door. And the voice on the tape, the woman who said she loved me, was the only one who knew the truth. I didn't fully understand fear until the moment. Liam grabbed my arm and pulled me toward the back door, whispering, Robin, we have maybe 2 minutes before they get here. Because something in his voice, something quiet, something risen told me he had been running from these people for a long time. Long enough to know exactly when danger begins to breathe through the walls. Long enough to know how footsteps sound when they belong to men who won't knock twice. And as we stepped into the cold morning air behind the house, a sharp wind cutting across my neck, I realized I wasn't just running from Stretch, I was running from the version of myself who had buried all of this decades ago. Liam's steps were quick, almost frantic, but there was a steadiness in his movements, too, like he knew exactly where he was going, even if I didn't. And as we cut across my yard, past the rusted garden table and the old oak tree whose branches drooped like tired arms, he said quietly, she said this would happen on a day when the sun was low and the wind was sharp. And for a moment it was as if Nora herself were walking beside us, whispering instructions through him. We reached the back gate, and he pushed it open carefully, peering down the empty alley behind my house. They don't approach loudly, he said. They don't want attention. But once they find the tape, they won't care who gets hurt. My breath clogged. Liam, I whispered. What did I say on that recording? Why would anyone want it? He didn't answer right away. Instead, he tugged at my sleeve gently and led me across the alley into the narrow walkway behind my neighbor's garage. Because, he whispered, you caught something on that tape, something you weren't supposed to hear, something that proved the fire wasn't an accident. My pulse thudded. What did I hear? He looked at me with enormous sadness, as if the truth itself hurt him. You heard your father, he said. My steps faltered. Cold spread through my chest. I heard my father. Liam nodded. He was alive for a few seconds longer than anyone knew. And in those seconds, he said something that would destroy the people who caused the fire. My stomach twisted painfully. Memories, shards, flickers, smells pulsed beneath my skin, like something trying to claw its way out. Smoke, heat, the faint outline of a doorway collapsing, someone pulling me back, someone screaming my name. I swallowed hard. I don't remember any of this, I whispered. Liam placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. That's because Nora didn't want you to. She knew if you remembered, they'd come for you, too. I stared at him, voice breaking. But why did she sacrifice herself? He shut his eyes for a moment. Because she loved you, he said softly. More than you ever knew. Before I could respond, we reached the end of the walkway and stepped onto the old service road behind the neighborhood. Liam stopped abruptly, scanning the distance. There, he said quietly, pointing to a weathered green bike leaning against a telephone pole. It's not much, but we can at least get out of sight before they sweep the area. I blinked. You want us to ride a bike? He smiled faintly, the kind of weary humor people develop to survive impossible situations. Not far, just to the old storm drain. There's a tunnel under the street. It'll keep us hidden long enough to get to the bus station. My chest tightened. And then what? He hesitated. Then we go to Jude. The name alone made my legs feel weak. Liam, I whispered, why do we have to go back there? He looked at me with a sadness that made him seem years older. Because that's where the truth started, and that's where it will end. We rode, or rather, Liam pedaled, and I tried not to fall down the cracked service road until we reached a rusted metal grate, half hidden behind overgrown bushes. He dropped the bike, crouched, and pulled aside the weeds, revealing a narrow tunnel entrance. You first, he whispered. My heart hammered as I crawled inside, the damp smell of earth and time filling my lungs. Liam followed, sliding the grate back into place behind us. The tunnel was dark except for the faint line of light stretching toward the other end. As we walked hunched over, I whispered, Liam, what was Nora to me? He didn't answer immediately. The tunnel walls were damp, echoing our footsteps like soft drumbeats. When he finally spoke, his voice came out cracked. She was everything. I blinked. I don't understand. He kept walking, his shoulders stiff. Nora wasn't just someone you met, he said. She was someone who saved you long before the fire. Someone who believed in you when you didn't believe in yourself. You shared something that went beyond friendship, beyond love. But it was complicated. It wasn't the right time. And then, the fire took everything. My throat tightened painfully. You don't remember, he whispered. I know. When we reached the end of the tunnel and climbed the old ladder up to the abandoned parking lot near the bus station, the light hit my eyes so sharply I had to shield them. Liam checked behind us again. We're clear for now, but we have to move fast. We approached the bus station, its cracked windows and flickering lights giving it an eerie familiarity. I hadn't been in a place this bleak in years. We stepped inside, and Liam bought 2 tickets from a machine that buzzed loudly in protest. The bus to Ridgewood leaves in 10 minutes, he said. We just need to stay out of sight until before he could finish. A voice rang out behind us. Robin. My heart nearly stopped. Slowly, I turned. An older woman stood there, silver hair, soft eyes, hands trembling slightly as she held a cane. Her presence felt like warm fog rolling into a cold room. I knew you'd come, she whispered. Liam's eyes widened. Nora, he breathed. My body went cold. Nora Callahan is dead, I whispered. The woman smiled gently, sadly. Everyone thinks I am. Liam stepped closer, voice cracking. You told me you didn't make it. Nora lifted a wrinkled hand and touched his cheek. I'm sorry, sweetheart, she murmured. But I needed him to bring Robin to me without hesitation. Sometimes the truth has to wait. Liam exhaled shakily. Why? She looked at me, then really looked at me with eyes filled with years of unspoken history. Because, she whispered, he deserves to remember why he survived. My breath shuddered. Nora, what did I forget? Her gaze softened with unbearable tenderness. Everything, she said, but especially, that you weren't alone the night of the fire. Pain shot through my chest. You thought you were protecting us, she said, but you weren't the only one in that cabin. The world tilted, the room spinning. Who else was there? Nora's voice broke. Your brother. My heart collapsed inward. No, I whispered. My brother died. Nora shook her head softly. He didn't drown. He was there, Robin. He pulled you out of the fire. He's the reason you're still alive. My vision blurred. Where is he now? Nora's lips trembled. Running, she whispered. Hiding, because the people who killed your father are still looking for him. And for you. Tears blurred my sight. Why didn't you tell me this before? She stepped closer, cupping my face gently with trembling hands. Because if you remembered too soon, they would have found you. And I couldn't lose you too. Liam wiped his eyes with the back of his sleeve. Nora, he whispered. We have the tape. The one from that night. Nora's expression changed. Fear, relief, love, grief all at once. Then we don't have much time, she said. Once they learn you have it, they'll come with everything they have. Why? I whispered. She took a shaky breath. Because that tape contains your father's last words. And those words reveal the name of the man who started the fire. My spine froze. Who? Nora swallowed. The man who has spent 40 years chasing ghosts. Nora, I said breathlessly, who started the fire. She looked at me with eyes full of sorrow. Your uncle, she whispered. Your father's own brother. The ground vanished beneath me. No, my voice cracked, barely audible. No, that can't. But Nora's eyes held the truth. My heartbeat stuttered painfully. He tried to kill your father. she said. And when you saw him, he came back to finish you too. A sickening realization tore through Mitha, missing memory, the fear, the fire, my brother's disappearance. Then where is my brother now? I whispered. Nora stepped closer, tears spilling. He's waiting for you, she said. He has been for 40 years. At the place where the cabin once stood, she whispered. He said you'd come when the truth was ready to be remembered. Before I could reply, before I could even inhale, the station doors burst open. Men in dark coats rushed in cold eyes. Silent precision. Liam grabbed my arm. Nora stood between us and danger, her voice steady. Run. Robin, run to him. And in that moment, as the world exploded into noise and footsteps and shouts, I realized the truth Nora had protected all these years. The tape wasn't meant to warn me. It was meant to bring me back to the place I once survived, to the brother who once saved my life. If you stayed with me all the way to the end, thank you. Stories like this remind us how memory, love, and loss are never really gone. They just wait for the moment we're finally ready to face them. If this story brought back a feeling, a thought, or even a person you once knew, I'd truly love to hear your reflections in the comments below. And if you'd like to join me for more emotional, nostalgic, and deeply human stories, feel free to subscribe and leave a like. It helps keep these stories alive, and it means more than you know. Until next time, take care of yourselves, and take care of each other.